Hi everybody, I'm Leah of CJ Drill, and today I'm going to show you how to lay down tile. Come on in close, let me show you some of the tools and material you're going to need for the job. Okay, what I've done is I've mixed up a acrylics fortified Thinset. That's what you're going to want for laying down slate or really any natural stone. Now, there's two ways to mix the Thinset. You can mix it by hand with a bucket trowel, but which this is a bucket trowel, folks. But I got to tell you, the best way is by using a corded drill with a mixing attachment, which is what I've done. And the reason for that is it gets out all the lumps and it gives you a real consistent mix. Just make certain that you read the manufacturer's instructions so you'll know how much water to how much product to use. Now, I always like to just have a paint scraper handy, but the most important tool is this tool right here, and it's a notched trowel. The larger the notch, keep in mind, the more material you're going to lay out on the floor, and that's really what you want here, because it's going to take a lot of Thinset to hold those tile in place. It's always important to have a piece of chalk when you're working with slate, because it'll allow you to make notations on the tile in the event that you have a piece that isn't quite right and you'll want to mark it. Now, make certain that you have a bucket with plenty of clean water and a clean sponge. This is going to come in very handy because that acrylic fortified Thinset, it not only sticks to the floor, but it'll bond to just about anything. Now, the last thing you're going to need is you're going to need spacers. And let me tell you something about spacers in the material that we're using, which is slate. Now, I want to tell you something very, very important about laying slate tile that's not calibrated. And that is, each tile will vary up to a 1/16 of an inch. And because of that, you want to make certain that you have the right spacer. You want to use at least 1/4 of an inch. That's going to give you the room that you need, because you're going to have to play with the tile sometime to set it just right. So if you want to know how to strike a line and lay out tile, go to cjdrill.com and go to the video, how to lay out tile. Underneath the chalk line is a clean surface, and you want to start with a clean surface, and you also want to apply what's called an anti-fracture membrane. It comes in a paste form, a liquid form, or sheet form. Now, I've applied the liquid form because it's the easiest. You just roll it on with a paint roller. Okay, so first you want to do what's called a dry fit. So I've laid the first 3 tiles down, and they're pretty even. This one is nice and even. This one here is a little off. And so what I like to do is I just like to make a notation. So I'll mark it with a piece of chalk. So I know that this piece needs to be back buttered a little bit. What is back buttering? Well, it's when you turn the tile over and you put a little extra Thinset on that corner to level it up. Okay, so now I'm going to remove the tile, and we're going to put some mortar down. I'm going to show you how to set it. Okay, so let's get started. Let's put a little Thinset down. I'm going to use this bucket trowel, get a nice big scoop here. I'm going to put it right here. And be generous with it. Now that's where our first tile is going to go. So I'm going to move this bucket out of the way. And you want to try not to go over the line, because your chalk line is your guide. I'm going to smooth it out first with the smooth edge of the trowel. I'm going to get close to that line, get it as close to the line as you can. I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. And you want to smooth it. You want an area that's larger tile that you're going to put down. Make certain that you lay down more Thinset than the area of the tile that you're going to put down. Okay, so we've done a pretty good job of laying that out. Now it's time to turn the trowel around and use the grooved area of the trowel. Now, you want to go in the same direction. So that's what we're going to do. Make certain you go in the same direction. Okay, now I've got the first tile here that I'm going to lay down, but before I lay it down into place, I want to make certain that I back butter it a little bit here. So we've back buttered this tile with just an extra amount of Thinset to give it some height when we lay it. So now it's time to put it in place. So we're going to just lay that first tile in place. Get it close to that chalk line. There we go. Now we're going to add a little pressure, and you want to wiggle that tile back and forth to set it. There we go. It's set good. All right. Now we want to get our next piece. Now what's going to happen is it's oozed out of there a lot. So let's just, there we go. Move that away, and we'll get our next piece. And we're going to put that in place. Now, I need to allow space for my spacer. So I'll put a spacer there, a spacer there. Now, I'm going to have to add just a little bit of force here because that's riding a little high. There we go. Push it tight. Is it on the line? Move back and forth. There we go. That's nice. That's lined up very nice. Now it's time for our next piece. Now one of the things that you want to make certain is you want to make certain that the edge of the tile is clean. You want to get that excess there. And the reason for that is if it sets up, if you walk away from your project and it sets up, it will be almost impossible to get off the floor. So just make certain that you clean up your edges after the end of each work session. So today we learned how to apply Thinset and lay slate tile and the proper tools and materials you need to do a professional job. This is Leah saying, you can do this. See you next time.